What's up, traders? This is Keith here, back with another video. Hey, so I just wanted to go over some pretty important points that I use in my trading that I don't see too many other traders talk about. I see a lot of traders talking about the daily chart, and zooming in on 1 hours and things like that, but I don't see a lot of people talking about other time frames that include pre and post market data. And for me personally, pre and post market data have a lot to do with my strategy. The type of strategy that I mostly play just flag breaks. And when you're looking at the daily chart, you can't really see a lot of the flag points that you could see on other larger time frame charts that you could see with pre and post market data. For instance, IBIO. You can see that this trend line is just floating, which is a line that I put on my chart. Obviously, we have this nice pattern here on the daily chart that lines up pretty well with it. But when you add in, say I have a 12-hour chart, which includes pre and post market data, you can see this other trend line here. Now, that just can perhaps give you a better entry. It can show you more information. And we'll go over that with a few examples on some charts that I took. But basically this video is going to be about how to interpret flag breaks using larger time frame charts, including post and pre-market data. So let's go ahead and get right into it. As you can see here, IBIO, this recent runner, we have a beautiful, beautiful pattern here. We got a big pop, pullback, consolidation, and then once we get that big move here, it's kind of breaking out of this base, and that's when you can get to points where you can start creating your flag line. Because if we go back like to this, there's no real flag. I mean, you can play these little moves here and there, which I actually absolutely do, because this is money to be made, and these are low risk setups in my opinion, depending on how the intraday chart looks. But the big picture move is once it kind of reclaims and gets out of this area here, that's when shorts start getting in trouble, because then now they're getting squeezed out because they're anticipating for it to fall down, fall lower. We have this level here, now it's become resistance, has now become support, and so on and so forth. But the big move was after all this had broke out. But let's take a look real quick actually into this. Let's see, is it still there? Yeah, it's still there. So the daily chart, when the daily chart and the other charts line up, that's the most important thing. But let's just say like we're just messing around with this chart or this stock, and we want to see if we can catch this break here. Let's go down into a smaller time frame, 5 minutes, see what kind of setup was there that presented itself at the time. You'd be amazed at how well these larger time frame, pre-market, post-market setups, etc., line up. And when these lines break, if you wait till the actual the ultimate, if you wait for and you don't anticipate anything, but you actually wait for that line to literally break intraday, you can get really good risk reward plays with that. So let's just see this little setup here that I just drew out off the base. It's not even a really big play. I wouldn't expect a whole lot, but it's something that you could definitely go ahead and scalp and make some money off of. Let's see just this basic little thing on the 4-hour chart. Let's see how it played out intraday. So here's the setup. So you can see right here, and it totally respected that resistance line. Look at that, how it bounced off of it. And you can see how it hit it, retracted, and then it tested it. And then once it broke, what is that? I mean, risking the 131s, getting in high a day at 5 cents. And you got 1, 2, almost 3R into the close. And if you swung that one, I mean, look at how it opened up. And that's just from a basic, flag break off the lows. So intraday, it's like, because we're day traders, that's what I am, finding these little low risk setups where you can swing them the next day, that's where I'm trying to really narrow down and trying to focus on, because that's where the real money's at, in my opinion. Everyone's got their own opinion in trading, but if I can get the the guts to swing these trades a few days, knowing that my entry is very good, and knowing that the technical pattern is very good, then there's lots of money to be made. So let's go ahead and go over IBIO and exactly what I was looking for. So we got this big move, and then let's just see. Let's go into the daily. So we got the big move, the big breakout everyone was anticipating right here on the daily chart. Perfect cup and handle type pattern. Once we broke over this 340 level, it obviously squeezed up really high. We can just go and see the technical pattern and see how it played out. Let me just go ahead, move this. So we got the cup and then handle, and then once it broke that trend, and once it got over, the cup and handle pattern is you want to get the break at this line here, but then what you want to do is you want to see how it reacts to these other type of handle areas, which is this resistance here and this resistance here. I like to target these areas up here, the formation, the high of the cup itself starting. But you always want to pay attention to how it's reacting. If it's because that could react as resistance and the pattern could fail. But let's check out and see what kind of continuation we got from that. So the big daily breakout happened on this day here, and that's where we got this big move here. And quite honestly, I just wasn't around to see it. I definitely would have taken it, and I really don't care if it was a chase or not, because in my opinion, it's not a chase. It's an entry that you're expecting way more. So once it broke out of this, the pre-market highs here, it really took off. But intraday, but without pre and post-market data, you can really see the pattern here. If you scroll in, you can just kind of see this was the high of day at the time. So we can go ahead and mark that high of day. And so this was basically what we saw. So this is what we were looking at. So my opinion, I probably would have gotten long. I like to wait for confirmation. So, and also I like to wait for the highs to break, because in my opinion, so many shorts risk their stops off high day. That's where my capitulation point is, where I really want to enter the trade. I don't necessarily like to anticipate. I will sometimes. Like I possibly would have gotten right here at the 55s, anticipating the break. But I want to see these things break certain levels quickly, and that's what I'm looking for. When they don't, I like to just get out. But so we had this level here. I may have even wanted to add, because I know this is such a beautiful chart. I probably would have been adding, to be honest. I just wasn't around. But you can see here, once it broke these levels, pre-market highs, it just didn't look back, and it was an amazing trade there. That was on an intraday chart. You could see here risking, you could risk the 90 MA, the low of the 5-minute candle, support. There's many areas you can risk off of. Probably just would have been like 250s. Risk maybe like 10 cents a risk. But anyway, that was a beautiful pattern. And then on Friday, this last Friday here, which was yesterday, we got more continuation. And if you're looking at the daily chart here, it doesn't really look like much, just a pop, inside candle, and another breakout. But if you look at the hourly chart here in this area, let's see, hourly, yeah. So you can kind of see, if you take, it's pretty crazy, because honestly, it's like, you don't really see much here, but if you just start messing around with stuff and you start plotting lines and stuff, then you start getting you start seeing other things that, other traders are actually seeing too, and they make sense. Like right here, it's just a bunch of chop, in my opinion. But then if you take a look back and you're like, okay, what's really going on here? So you see that, you see this line, right? Well, if you start here, you can see, let me just draw some trends. You start up here and you start looking like this, you can see a little breakout there. Actually, it did break out. Small little breakout. See multi-day kind of flag going on, and it actually broke highs, stuffed at 350, and came back down. But that is, in my opinion, that is probably a decently valid signal there. It's not bad, but knowing where it just came from and looking at the daily chart, I probably wouldn't have gotten involved with that. So then that move happens, and then a couple days, and then we start seeing this kind of action going on here. And then if this is all intraday, and you can see it's just chopping around, but it's respecting this kind of trend. You know, if you look at it, you can see it better on the 5 minute here, but you can see from this line here going down, you can see. So it starts here, pops up, that's where we get that pop, and then you can see it's just kind of grinding here, respecting that resistance trend break. And then you can go ahead and see these lines here, and then look how it lines up on the smaller time frames. So this is the course of a few days, and you can see this kind of wedge happening here. And you know, I didn't make an official call on this one because everyone was talking about it in chat, and I figured that you know, everyone was already going to be involved. But if you look at it, it's like a really nice setup here. Nice wedge. We're really tightening up here. You know, it's above the 9, and you know, obviously there was other. If I see this same exact pattern, I'm not going to take it every time. There's other criteria that has to be met that we go into more detail in chat, and in, you know, with the system that has to be met other than just a pattern, right? I mean, you can see a pattern other ways, but you know, being able to measure the extension of that pattern on certain time frames and things like that is very important. You know, but that's going to be another time, another video possibly. But you can see a very nice tight wedge pattern forming here, and if you look at right here on the larger time frame, if you zoom out to a 15 or get even more tight, let me just you can see the highs up here. So that would be our target area, right? So you got a nice little consolidation, the breakout, and then your resistance line is up here. And that's where I would be targeting at. I mentioned it in chat that my target area would be the test of $4. And we got that. That's pretty cool. I actually had to leave the desk this day. I got in exactly right here. Let me see if I go. Okay. So yeah. So yeah, you can see I actually got in on that break. So right on that break, it was lining up perfectly for me. You can see the 15. Look at this hourly, beautiful hourly hold. My main time frame is the 5 to 15 hourly, and then obviously the larger time frames. I do use the smaller time frames, but it's just, for me personally, it doesn't really do much for me. I can just use the 5 minute chart and it's fine. That could possibly change in a couple of months from now, but right now I just stick with the 5 minute chart. But yeah, I got in there, and unfortunately I had to leave the desk, but it gave some good follow through. I really thought that one was gonna work out. Alrighty guys, well that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you can, please subscribe and hit the like button, and any questions or comments, leave them below and I'll be sure to get to them. Thanks for watching.